I'm gonna actually try to start the timer this time. First time for everything. Alright, RaceBot says go. We're waiting a few seconds for delay for them to start. And here they go. Again, guys, let me know if there are any issues with the audio. Uh, so we have them immediately seeing a whole bunch of stuff on the overworld, but finding some encounters.
And it looks like Eunos has already bumped into Raru.
Yep, Digshake's shortly behind him. So here they'll get their first spell. This is where you would normally get the shield spell in the vanilla game. You don't have any requirements for getting this spell in that game typically, so...
And we have the fairy spell right away.
Yep. Didn't get to see what it cost.
Didn't get a check of what it costs.
It's 58. Digshake did not up an A.
Castable fairy spell right away.
Yeah, that's very significant. The fairy is the most important first spell, pretty much. You need it for two big purposes, really. One is to go through doors in palaces if you don't have keys for them. And another thing is to get the downstab technique from Lifetown.
Though, as we see on Eunos' stream, there's another big use of it too, and that's that you can ferry across the wrong entrance of Saria and get the spell even if you don't know Bagu.
Right. Yeah, there are various other benefits to it, but those are the most two practical ones.
The thing that is really lucky for these runners with this early draw is that very rarely with Magic 1 are you actually able to cast the fairy spell, but they happen to get one that is. Early fairy usually means early magic level grinding.
Wow, so second spell they get is Thunder. And that's a huge spell, required to beat the game. They need it for Thunderbird in the Great Palace, but it's also big because you can use it to defeat a lot of enemies quickly at times.
Though it's probably not going to be castable for a while.
Yeah.
It costs 98, which is more than they have, and the odds of it going below 64 are not that high at low magic levels. I'd also like to point out, they both went into a palace, even though they had fairy, they just left. They stabbed the statue, and they saw the pillar pattern, and those two pieces of information together told them it was Palace 5, which is one of the largest, well, it is the largest and one of the most dangerous palaces. So they're deferring it to see if there's more low-hanging fruit elsewhere.
Yeah. You generally don't want to go into 5 early, unless you're kind of crazy.
And the glove.
Very...
So, the only thing they still need to beat the game at this point is the Reflect spell.
Yeah, also the Raft, of course.
Well, yeah, the Raft.
And they might need downstab or upstab, but they'll find those things.
Yeah, Eunos is going to be picking up downstab right here in the town of Mido. In Mido, you need either jump or fairy to pick up downstab and the medicine to get the spell. He doesn't have the medicine, but given that he only needs one more spell, he's probably pretty confident he won't need it.
Yep. Digshake now following in Eunos' tracks here. Picking up the Thunder spell. Let's see if he's successful in getting the item out of this cave here, like Eunos was. He doesn't cast fairy like Eunos did. I was impressed that Eunos made it through this cave the first try at Life 1 without killing a single enemy. Notably, though, Digshake has 2-1-2, Attack 2, and Life 2 already, the life 2 will help him survive a bit better, and the attack 2 will help things die a bit faster, so...
And especially with all the levels shuffled, you know, attack and life levels, the first couple levels you get, on average, tend to be very powerful. Because you're really looking for that first above-average level. The randomizer guarantees leveling will never reduce your strength or reduce your health. So what that tends to mean is you get a couple levels, you hit a threshold, all of a sudden you're powerful.
Digshake finding the glove. Passes up a magic level. I can't believe Eunos has 10 experience still.
Both of these players are definitely big believers in the philosophy of you just go, don't waste time looking for extra stuff. Eunos is showing it in the most severe of ways.
Yeah.
With his 1-1-1 levels going into 3 or 6.
Yeah. Usually when you see that checkerboard pattern on the start of a level, on the pillars at the start, you kind of shy away from those, because those are dungeons that are not going to be easy to complete generally. And in particular, we've determined...
This is totally Palace 6, by the way.
Yeah,
Eunos
yeah.
is just going.
Yeah, it's Palace 6. It's not going to be easy to do at all. So there's a good chance that this is going to end poorly for Eunos, this little exploration. But maybe he'll pick up the magic key, you know? You never know what'll happen. Something, or maybe he'll get the raft. Could be something huge in here. There's no requirement at this point that says he can't finish this palace. But for practical purposes, he might need more magic casting ability before he can actually get out of here.
And the other factor you have to consider is that it's entirely likely that even if he finds, like, Quick Barba, how do you even plan to kill Barba at attack 2?
I don't know. Spend all day there.
Eunos is good enough at the game to do it, but no amount of skill will let you do it in under 10 minutes.
I bet that he might go for multiple jackhammers.
Well, Digshake's doing something he's kind of known to do, which is checking a lot of these extra, like, forest tiles, and he found the 200 P bag in the West Overworld, so he's up to attack 3 already. Eunos is checking to see if there are any keys around. Well, the original game, Palace 6, has no keys. In the randomizer, you can have keys in places where there used to be P-bags.
So Digshake is right behind Eunos going into Palace 6.
I wonder if Digshake is just scouting to see if it's 3 and might plan on leaving.
I'm not sure.
Because I would totally agree with the play to do Palace 3 right now, but Palace 6, that's a risky play.
Right. Is this the item room right here that Eunos is in, though? I think it might be. So if he can take down this Rebanak...
No, this is the other room.
Is it?
You can tell by the statue on the right side if it's a, the little item room statue. It's in every item room, then it's the item. If it's just the little dog head thing, then it's not.
Oh, okay. The one that looks like a iron knuckle.
Yeah, though the good news for Eunos about this is this dude does drop a key guaranteed.
Right. And
so at Eunos' current health, in fact he's on his last life, he might have bigger worries than finding a key.
Well, now he's got the item right here. So this could be the raft, and that would be huge for Eunos. And the key would also be quite a find. I imagine, I have to imagine that he's not going to continue in this palace once he gets this item. That seems like a bad decision.
If I had to guess, he'll probably backtrack, take the fall, and just see if he bumps into Barba, and if he doesn't, oh well. Because the one advantage to what Eunos is doing is he is getting a lot of experience. He's going to be 3-3-3 leaving here with nothing, you know?
Yeah. Well, he got the boots, and now he's gonna take another look in here. The early boots are nice. Boots let you walk on any of the overworld water tiles, basically. That's something that the randomizer allows to, you know, so you don't have to guess where the walkable water tiles are. And that makes overworld travel much faster and safer, so they'll probably be pretty helpful once he gets over to the eastern continent.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting dynamic. In the original game, boots weren't really that helpful. They just let you reach Palace 5. But in the randomizer, they let you cross all the water, and there's a lot of water in an average world.
Wow. I'm pretty sure Eunos did not intend to take a swim there.
I really don't see any good reason for him to still be in this palace.
Yeah.
This is, like, you notice that, Digshake's run into this key lock with no easy way to die. This Wizrobe might eventually kill him. Eunos is having to navigate horrible enemies at low levels, and it's not obvious where to go. This is just typical of Palace 6. It's a nasty palace. It's a huge maze.
Oh, Eunos has
Barba's
found
gonna
another
be
key.
horrible at attack 3.
Digshake is checking the item over in this corner, which you almost never see. But there seem to be a lot of hidden keys in this palace, which is very unusual for Palace 6. I don't think they have extra keys turned on. Let's take a look.
No,
here.
they don't, because Eunos saw a P bag in the stack of blocks room.
Right. If extra keys is turned on, you will never see a P bag or a 1-up in a palace. They will all be replaced by keys. Eunos up to 3-3-4.
Oh, Eunos makes the... What do people like to call it? The Canadian jump?
Yeah, jump. Well, I don't know if it's called the Canadian jump, but it's definitely called the Canadian hole. Huh. How did he get...
That jump right there that Eunos did that led him straight to Barba is incredibly difficult without the jump spell.
Yes, it is. It is. I think the last time I attempted it, I did it first try, and I was so proud of myself.
Also, a quirk you'll notice as we fight our first boss, the boss's health bar, it visually displays based on the health they had in the original games, so a lot of hits not depleting it is pretty normal. It just means Barba has extra health. The health depleting very slowly is also normal, because seriously, he's fighting it with attack 3.
He's pretty crazy. This is not unusual behavior for Eunos.
He's fighting it pretty efficiently. The advantage of Barba, even though some players, and by some players I mean me, are terrible at this fight, he is one of the most predictable bosses. So if you know what you're doing and you're an expert in Eunos' level, you feel no real danger. It's just a question of how long it takes.
Yeah. So Digshake is also fighting Barba, but I don't think he ever found the the boots, did he? I didn't see him get them. Eunos interestingly taking Magic 4.
It was kind of a tough position he was in with his experience, because Attack 4 was 1,190, so he would totally waste this gym if he declined those levels. He also probably wants to be able to multicast Fairy.
Yeah, that would be extremely helpful for getting through other palaces. But he's already made it through the hardest palace to make it through without any keys going into it.
5's not much better, though.
Yeah. And 4 is a pain because a lot of the keys are at the end of dead ends that you don't want to go down.
Or on top of those... I think all the keys in 4 are either in those... Oh, never mind. The raft. So, Eunos literally just needs the Reflect spell, and the odds of him being blocked by anything are extremely remote, especially with those boots in his possession.
Yeah, there's a small chance of being blocked by the flute or the hammer, perhaps. But,
I think we've seen enough of the West Overworld to rule out a geographical hammer block.
he could need the hammer to get the reflect spell, perhaps. If he needs the spell item out of Death Mountain.
Digshake also showing his usual degree of regard for gems, placing this gem in Palace 6 for a whopping 39 experience.
Yeah. It's not even unheard of to see Digshake place a gem and immediately up an A and ignore the experience boost that you get from it.
That magic container Eunos got is actually huge, because not only does it greatly increase the odds that he can multicast Fairy, but it's pretty common even at Magic 6 or 7 for Thunder to not be castable with no magic containers, but nearly guaranteed it will be with one.
And it makes it a little more likely that he could get an item out of Spell Town once he gets over to the east side. Eunos finds Palace 1, which is a much more reasonable first palace, so no reason for him to not to go in here.
Yeah, 1 is by far the smallest and generally easiest palace. This first room Eunos is dealing with is really the only bad room.
Yeah, it's not a great room in vanilla, but when you put a bunch of Moas in there with the bubbles, the challenge increases a bit.
Yeah, Fairy costs 41 at Magic 4, so Eunos just barely can't double cast it.
Yeah,
Though blue jar drops are enough to let him do it.
Right. You might see him pick up a few blue jars in here.
Eunos deciding to fight that blue iron knuckle for a while, and then deciding that that's not really a great plan.
I'm a little curious. Is it worth him for even to kill things right now? 'Cause he's got to get another 900 experience. Doesn't sound like something I'd see him farming here.
Yeah, it's pretty unlikely that he's going to hit enough experience to get a whole lot out of this gem other than just attack 4 directly. Because in most palaces you can count on a pretty good experience dump from the boss, but Horsehead just gives like nothing. And there's the key. The seed just gives and gives. The seed just gives and gives is not a sentence you utter very often about the Zelda 2 randomizer.
Well, to be fair, the seed gave them because they went into Palace 6 with virtually no levels and no items and completed it. So, you can't quite say the seed is just giving them things because it's much more difficult than they made it look.
Yeah, the Palace 6 thing was them being insane at this game, but
Right.
nothing in Palace 6 was required for them to come get this key.
That's true. Yeah, the cheap fairy early is really the most significant thing that happened, and then giving the key right on top of that. And the glove was not out of the way. The raft was free. They're in really good shape here. Of course, the spell selection has been really good as well.
Are they playing with the full GP?
Yes, they are. Did you get the flags? You're
I did, but I was fighting with things, so, you know,
I
I
don't
didn't
know.
have a chance to really check them out.
Yeah,
But GP could be a real display if they get a trolley one, because assuming they find Reflect without having to full clear the world, which there's no guarantee, it could be in the last town, and in the hammer-blocked item deep in Death Mountain to get the spell item. We don't know.
see,
But
Eunos got up to 900 experience, but now he's gonna have to cash this gem for just 200 more, or maybe almost 300.
if they go mode this too hard and find things too easily, GP could be very difficult.
I can't imagine, why would Eunos even look around Death Mountain? I guess it's
Well, you
worth...
saw he started in a small area. He probably figured on the off chance there's an easy item here, it's probably a spell item.
Yeah. Notable right there is that the rock to hammer for one of the items is immediately inside that door. So if he decides that he needs something and he finds the hammer later, he can go right in there and get it. And hopefully
With boots, Eunos is able to take a somewhat more efficient overworld route here. Right now, he's just fishing for the raft spot.
Right.
Well, that's what I thought he was doing until he didn't.
Well, I think he's got one more palace left to find as well. Which is...
They all both found 5 early and elected not to go in.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So does he have one more item cave left?
He might. I haven't really been keeping track of that. Or maybe he's just coming over to Palace 5.
Yeah, he seems to be unsure of his plan right now. Nope, he's gonna head east instead.
Yeah, it looked like he was maybe scouting for one more item cave, didn't find it quickly, thought about P5, realized, why would I do this to myself when Palaces 2 and 3 are going to be right over here, and moved on. And instantly finds one of the items in the east. Because the East Continent will have only 4 items associated with it. It'll have an item on a desert tile, an item in a water tile that only Eunos will be able to get. So it'll be huge if that happens to be the thing. And then 2 items on Maze Island. And one of those 4 items will be a spell item, either the medicine or the kid. And Eunos is definitely thinking about where he's going to find the Reflect spell. While electing for a little marathon safe upstab.
Yeah, going down the chimney with Fairy is something that was discovered fairly recently by Highlander during the last Zelda 2 All Keys tournament.
And something interesting, so far there's been virtually no strategic deviation between Digshake and Eunos. They're both playing the seed more or less the exact same way.
So now we get to
Digshake
see...
is gathering a little more experience. Eunos is moving just a little faster.
We get to see what fire casts here. That wasn't thunder. It wasn't spell.
It Could be Reflect.
That'd be kind of
It's
big,
not
I
Jump.
guess, huh?
It's not Fairy. Did his palette change?
I didn't notice.
Oh, it's Reflect. Fire is Reflect. He just blocked that blue Lizalfos' axe.
Wow. That's pretty big. So they don't need any more spells. They might like to have another spell. When you're going through Great Palace, it helps a bit to have a life or even a shield spell. But in theory, no other spells can be required by the game.
What's interesting is Eunos spent the time to confirm what spell that was just in case it was Reflect. Digshake hasn't done that. Digshake doesn't know that he's in go mode.
Although, well, there is a chance that spell could be required yet to get the item out of Spell Town, but that's pretty small at this point.
I mean, the only item you could really possibly need now would be the horn.
Right, and that's extremely unlikely. Unfortunately, with the way the overworlds are randomized right now, unless it's changed, with the new... They're playing on a brand new version of the randomizer, and the overworld generation has changed a little bit in this version. So we found that the
Cool Maze Island bridge.
yeah, that is ridiculous. I have never seen one that long. I think Eunos walked down it just to see how long it was, almost as much as anything. Yeah, the horn to get past the River Devil is very rarely required on these overworlds, because you can either get by it with caves, or the path that the River Devil blocks is just a dead end. Eunos dropping some frames for me. Hopefully that
I honestly don't know
straightens
if he
out.
picked up that child or shunned that child.
Please reload. There we go. Alright.
Looks like we have Palace 2 here on Maze Island. I see Digshake entering it right now.
Yeah.
Really, I guess from a competitive perspective, the biggest question in this seed is whether you're going to be able to reach all of the East Continent palaces without boots. Usually you can, but it is far from unheard of for you to be unable.
Oh, definitely. Boots are required on the East, I'd say. Not necessarily a majority of the time, but a significant percentage.
I'd say it's probably about 1 out of 3.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, like, it's often enough you're really thinking about it, but it's rare enough you aren't going to assume it at all.
And even if they aren't required, they can make your path through the East Continent a ton shorter.
Though it is also relevant to note that Digshake is in a position to gym optimize a lot more heavily. With Eunos having Magic 4 and Life 5, he's probably going to end with Attack 5 or 6, whereas Digshake can get a lot of experience without even really going out of his way, just depending on the sequence he finds things.
Yep. Digshake finding the candle, he's not going to be especially thrilled about that.
A player of his caliber doesn't really need it, but given that he might have to take extra connector caves in the east, there are really worse items to find.
True.
Especially given that we know he's not going to find the horn or the boots here.
Candle is probably still better than the cross.
I remember one time I was watching Digshake stream and I suggested to him jokingly when he saw so many bad was killing him that maybe he should go hunt the cross. And he said the day he goes and hunts the cross is the day he quits playing Zelda 2. I thought it was pretty funny.
That doesn't surprise me. It sounds like Digshake. Yeah, the boots, like JLo said, can even be required in Death Mountain in the west. And I've seen them required just to get across the river in the west more than once.
My personal favorite is when the boots are somewhere really deep on the East Continent and they're required to reach Mido.
Yeah, to get downstab.
In Palace 2, you'll notice that they seem to be basically full clearing it. That's just normal. I'm not quite sure what dynamic it is about 2, but it always seems to be one of the palaces that you just have to see so much of.
Yep. So Digshake entered the palace first, but Eunos has found his way to the boss first.
Has Digshake checked yet whether the fire spell is paired with? Has he even cast it?
I haven't noticed.
But yeah, that is definitely correct. One of the biggest things that let Eunos finish first is he always went right. He didn't even consider the lefts. Because in Digshake's mind, he very well could need boots. He doesn't know that he has the reflect spells, so he's also going to think maybe hammer could be the key to a spell item he needs. Eunos knows full well that he's able to do everything unless he runs into an uncommon troll. Though he's choosing to hunt Maze Island for a second item, which is not what I would expect of him, but...
Yeah, I think he was just giving a quick glance at those spots that were, you know, right in his way. I don't think he's going to do a thorough job here, but now he's got that cross. Maybe he was hunting the cross.
Yeah, I mean, the cross is a powerful asset in any Zelda 2 randomizer playthrough.
You can see something that doesn't get utilized often in Zelda 2 runs. There's a trick you can do to skip encounters using the fairy spell. It's actually possible without the fairy spell, but very difficult. Basically, if you get off the screen 1 pixel and then push towards the direction of the screen again, then you skip to the other side of the encounter. Because the way it works is that the game only checks which direction you're going when you hit an exit. So, if you're moving to the right, it puts you on the right side of the encounter.
Though I guess one question is, what is the cost of Thunder at Magic 5? It might be too high for him to cast, and he might be wanting to take easy items just in case it's a magic container.
Yeah, he does grab the hammer. He doesn't shun it. So... not sure how notable that is. We'll see how easy these items are in... Oh, 7 magic containers. And he just opts out of Spell Town, maybe? No, he's gonna check the spell at least.
Like, the logic here is, if this spell is any of Jump, Life, or Shield, it's going to be an enormous help in GP.
Yeah.
If it's Reflect, he's just wasted his time. If it's Spell, he's honestly just wasted his time.
I'm a little surprised that he didn't refill his magic, though. Oh, it is Spell. To me, it's worth checking the item at the end of town, but he didn't refill his magic, so he'd have to go back to refill it now if he wants to check it.
And I just got a glimpse of it. The Thunder spell cost 81 at Magic 5.
Oh, so he is just short. Yeah,
and the Reflect spell cache is in its normal location. Digshake got it with the kid. Which, to Eunos, if he goes and does that, will be a huge disappointment. But given that Digshake still might not know that Fire is paired with Reflect, this could be enough to convince him to enter Go mode.
Yeah. I'd be surprised if that's not something that Digshake is thinking about, because, you know, as the creator of the randomizer, he's pretty aware of how the mechanics work.
I mean, he might have just had the thought, you know, what are the odds that Fire is really paired with Reflect, and if it is, how would I even figure that out quickly? But, you know, that is what happened to occur. And yeah, Eunos getting the magic container is huge. Now there is... Horn Troll is literally the only scenario he could possibly be held back now.
Right. besides the fact that Great Palace could be extremely difficult, and maybe his levels might hold him back, and lack of restoring his health. Candle paying off for Digshake. Getting through the encounter maybe a little quicker than Eunos did.
Yeah, these Death Road encounters are almost built to encourage you to have the candle and the cross, which are items that are traditionally considered very bad because they are very bad, but that survival can really be the difference.
Eunos still checking spells here. Might as well if they're this free, right?
Yeah, he might be thinking that he's going to be doing GP underleveled without that many containers. Having just one spell to help could be a big deal. And Jump, you wouldn't think it at first, but in a lot of ways is the single most helpful spell he could have found. Because those, some people have taken to calling them the chicken and waffle rooms in Great Palace, where you have that kind of honeycomb pattern of blocks. It's full of bird knights. Jump is the secret to not just getting railed in them. Right now, though, what I'm guessing he would really like to find are the two palaces over here.
Oh, for sure. Of course, the palaces are a top priority considering they're what you need to beat the game. Looks like Eunos is going to go back for Palace 5 now.
It's logical. He'd just taken a cave to the world's most isolated pea bag. We see the River Devil in a clearly obnoxious position. It would be a remarkable troll if after how generous this seed has been with required items, it turned out the River Devil was required.
It would be interesting, I think, for the overall play of this seed if Digshake finds that it's required, or maybe the boots is required, so he hunts for an item in palaces and finds the flute, and uses the flute to beat the seed, whereas Eunos can get around it with the boots.
If the horn does turn out to be required, that's going to be painful if Digshake's still hunting items, because Eunos is skipping everything now. So there's a lot of places he would have to look.
Right. On the other side, if the boots turn out to be required, then Digshake is probably going to go back to Palace 6, maybe as one of the last items he checks.
If I had to guess, it would be the very last thing he does. Because going back to Palace 6 when you already have its crystal, that's a slow move. We get a glimpse at Death Road over on Digshake's side. even though the overworlds are randomized, there's a lot of like general rules about the shape of the world and what you're gonna find. That long stretch of lava tiles leading to Great Palace will always exist somewhere in the world.
Although
Sometimes it's very long, sometimes it's very short.
yeah, sometimes it can be 0 tiles, basically. You can walk into the ring of 8 tiles of lava around the Great Palace. I've seen that once or twice, maybe.
Though Digshake has found one of the palaces over in the east. Well, Eunos weighed his options and decided to up A in Palace 5.
Yeah.
He was at a long dead end, but he lost nearly 1,000 experience points, so that's a little painful.
This is probably the most divergent their routes have been all seed here. So it'll be interesting to see where they are when they converge again. Yeah, Digshake's in Palace 3.
Which is a pretty good palace. It's after 1, the next smallest palace, and its item is to the right, so if you're looking for items, you don't have to do anything different than you would do looking for the boss anyway. Unless you find the boss first, of course.
Yeah, you see Eunos demonstrating the power of the Thunder spell there when used against common enemies.
And Eunos having an overall pretty lucky Palace 5. He saw less than half of it. Palace 5 is overwhelmingly enormous.
It also has a lot of rooms that look the same, so unless you're very systematic about how you explore it, you could get a bit lost.
So, I saw Digshake got the item in 3, but I didn't catch what it was. Did you?
I didn't either. Did you, maybe the chat saw. I was too busy watching Eunos fight Guma. Seems like he's always in an endless struggle with him.
Guma is probably the hardest boss to do with low attack levels. Especially if you're not willing to do the takes forever corner cheese strat, which I don't think Eunos would ever go for. Oh, that's interesting. It was the horn. So, Digshake can pass that River Devil now. Usually not something you have to do, but especially given that he's trying to go bootless, it could be an important option. So we see both runners fighting bosses at the same time, or in Eunos' case, having just lost to Guma, both having a kinda rough go at him. Though Digshake just missed Rebo the first time, on his second pass he was able to show the quick kill. Kind of a funny aspect of the randomizer when it comes to Rebo that you wouldn't necessarily think of. The block sets, like how the palaces look, are randomized per palace. In this case, Digshake got the good tile set for Palace 3 with the normal blocks, but sometimes it's the different blocks that are smaller, and it's really hard to tell where to line up for Rebo when you happen to roll that. looks like Eunos has found a pretty good rhythm against Guma. But it's a terrifying... Oh yeah, there he goes. Guma is truly a terrifying boss at Attack 4. It's a credit to Eunos' skill that he's even able to do it at all. And there's the last palace. Boots are not required. Neither was that horn. But either way, finding that palace at all is going to be just a huge sigh of relief to Digshake. It also does mean he probably has a bit of a lead. Because he's in his 5th palace, he knows where Palace 5 is, he knows where GP is, and he knows for sure he has everything he needs. He could go the wrong way in Palace 5. Eunos chose pretty good paths. But otherwise, the routing portion of this would seem to be in his favor. Though Digshake has said on many occasions that Palace 4 is his least favorite palace. 4 is a relatively straightforward palace a lot of times. It has, you know, the 1 set of drops, it has 3 dead ends. But I guess we all have our own runs of bad luck, and his run of bad luck is that he always seems to fully clear level or Palace 4 before finding Karok. Well, Eunos chose to take a lengthy cave and path to get Attack 5. Attack 5's going to really help him out for the rest of the seed, but that was quite a bit of time he poured into getting it. Time that Digshake doesn't even have to think about, because Digshake's at Attack 7. So he's going to be able to use the gem here in 4 to take a bunch of magic and life levels, and then whatever experience he gets in Palace 5 will just be a bonus.
Alright, sorry. I muted while my niece was investigating what was going on, until I threatened her with telling her mom.
A potent threat. Meanwhile, we see Digshake fighting the most intense and skill-based boss in Zelda 2, Karok. He appeared to use the strategy of have good RNG, and was able to defeat Karok very quickly. Literally, all you do is sit in the corner with Reflect up, and there is no strategy whatsoever that is faster. Oh, interesting. Digshake's taking Attack 8.
Really?
Now, if I had to guess, the reason he's doing that is the odds of him getting like 660 experience in P5 are very high. And Attack 8 itself might be marginal, but it's just a higher threshold of experience to take that life and magic level dump.
Yeah. He'll just take 1 or 2 magic levels and dump the rest into life, probably.
The risk of it is he has to do Palace 5 with Magic 3 and Life 4, where a lot of life really can help here, but with Attack 8, I doubt he's going to be too intimidated by Guma.
So, neither of them has the life or shield spell yet, right?
Correct, and I have a pretty strong feeling we're not going to see those spells in this run.
Right, because they're both item blocked in the west, aren't they?
We have... Yeah, that's correct. Those are the only 2 spells we haven't seen, aren't they? I know going into full GP, I would be a little nervous without life or shield. I would still try it. I have a feeling that Digshake's going to be very confident. He's going to have Attack 8, a ton of magic and life. He'll be able to do that real easily. Eunos is not any less skilled, but his levels are going to be a lot worse.
Oh, Eunos has the flute, just in case.
I mean, at the point you stumble into an item room looking for Rebo anyway, you might as well take it. If it's the required horn, then wouldn't you feel dumb to skip it? And at this point, he honestly would have been pretty happy with the container.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I would want life or magic too, but these guys operate a little differently than I do, than most people do when they play this game.
If I had Digshake's levels, I would feel okay. If I had Eunos's levels, I very well might be hunting one of those spell items. Honestly, I'd prefer shield over life, but either would be much better than neither. Eunos just humiliating Rebo with the fast strat. Doesn't even let Rebo get to the corner where he gets wrecked. I noticed Digshake took life 5, which is a pretty risky play if you think about it. Because this is his last gym, so if he doesn't hit that experience threshold, which he probably will hit it, but if that were to not occur, he'd almost be forced to grind. Because a full GP with the shuffled monsters, it's drastically more dangerous than anything else in the game. And doing it with, like, Life 5 and Magic 3 it's pretty bad. Unfortunately for Eunos, I think the horn is leading him astray. He still needs to find Palace 4. Oh yeah, you see Digshake putting in a little extra time to his experience, because he got a pretty high threshold for Life 5 of 1,700. Usually it's pretty safe if you want to just manipulate every gym to take levels up to Magic 3 and Life 4, but once you exceed those, that's when it starts getting really difficult. Unfortunately, I believe Digshake is taking the scenic route here in Palace 5. Which is just kind of something that happens. 5 is a very large dungeon, and it is usually not very obvious where you need to go.
Yeah, you sometimes have choices where you have to go up or down, and, you know, there can be no real tell about which way you need to go.
And even when you have a left, there's just so many places in P5 that turn you around that it's not particularly obvious that it's wrong to go left. Because left won't lead directly to the boss, but it could easily turn you around.
Well, he's found the boss anyway, at this point.
Yeah, and he is at a pretty good experience point. I don't remember how much experience Guma was worth, but he's usually worth at least 400. I guess I should say he's frequently worth that much. And if not, he'll be very close. we see the difference that Attack 8 makes, Guma didn't get to do anything. Well, he gives 301 experience. Minor quirk of Zelda 2, the 300 experience drop, wherever you find it, is actually 301 experience points. Oh, grinding those 2 experienced dog heads is gonna suck if that's what he has to do. There are dragon heads in here. Maybe those are better. Yeah, those are 20. That's what Digshake's gonna do. This is actually a pretty dangerous room, no matter your level, because with downstab and the glove, if you're just hitting down while you land, you just take a little lava bath.
And he does take a lava bath.
Though honestly, it's fine because he got his experience and it's just going to send him to the door. It's almost surprising, maybe he just wasn't thinking of doing it, that he didn't just immediately stab through the blocks when he got his experience. But regardless, Digshake has now placed all the gems, and he's going to have a whopping 9,910 points to spread between magic and life as he wants. Unless, of course, he attack 9s us.
Looks like he's safe. He's already up to life 8 with a couple levels to take of magic as well. He's in really good shape. I think that's 858.
Yeah, and it's definitely, because he does not have either the shield or life spell, he's going to really value having life levels over magic levels, because magic levels aren't really going to help him survive in GP. The jump spell's the only particular utility he's getting out of that.
Well, Fairy can be useful too for getting across rooms that are difficult to get through without falling into the lava.
Yeah, Fairy is pretty nice. You're not wrong about that. But certainly the life has a far more direct impact on your survival. And meanwhile, Eunos has just placed the gem in P4. Is that Eunos' last gem as well?
I believe so.
So Eunos is actually much closer to GP than Digshake right now. He'll be the first in, but at much worse levels. It'll be interesting to see how important that is.
And he's in there.
Usually you don't have to fight that much in GP, you just skip the monsters. They're usually all kinds of not worth it, so the 2 fewer attack levels are mostly just going to cost time on T-Bird. It is only 1 fewer life level. He might really be pretty fine. But yeah, Great Palace is 57 rooms long, so fasten your seatbelts. Unless these 2 are really lucky, we could be here for a while.
Yeah, and not only is it 57 rooms, but it can be 57 rooms that you might have to see multiple times. There can be a lot of dead ends that you don't learn are dead ends until it's much later than you would have hoped.
Yeah, you have 4 drops to look out for that are often the only way forward, but are also often huge backtracks and detours. And the enemy set in GP is just drastically more dangerous than anything else. While Eunos gives a little shout out to our friend Buzz Thunder by taking a Kingbot to the skull. So Eunos finds the drop that goes right that does not have a red jar, and then immediately the fairy required room. Oh, that was clever. Eunos used the fire spell to lower his magic to take the red jar in the fairy room, so he would have full magic after using fairy. Then immediately finds another drop. Personally, I really like getting drops out of the way early when G lets me, because it often will just pigeonhole you into short routes to Thunderbird, and even if it doesn't, you're eliminating the most swingy options right away. Because while the way the Zelda 2 randomizer randomizes dungeon layouts tends to be highly non-Euclidean, especially GP, the one big advantage to how it does it is that it's always guaranteed a drop will lead either to the end of the dungeon, either where you still in 1 through 6 or Dark Link in GP, or it'll let you back to the entrance. So early drops tend to be safe, and Eunos is showing that by finding the Thunderbird. It's a guarantee with the flag set they're using, but not with all flag sets, that Thunderbird will be on the path to Dark Link. So everything before this point for Eunos, he knows was wrong turns. And unless there's a drop after Thunderbird, which there could be and will be terrifying if he encounters it, he can just kind of explore this smaller part of the palace and be pretty sure it's leading him to the end.
Yep, Eunos is in fantastic shape here, for sure.
Yeah, and this is definitely substantially faster than average to find Thunderbird. Usually you have to go through a lot more rooms, but sometimes this is how it goes.
But that also means that there could be quite a number of rooms after Thunderbird, and this could be just the beginning of the challenge of this palace.
Yeah, I do feel like Eunos passed quite a few options. And I know he's taken 2 of the drops already, which is always a huge load off your mind. But you just don't know. Because right here we see 3 ways to go right after Thunderbird. Up 2 elevators or continue right. Who even knows what rabbit holes these go down? Oh man, that room. Not only is this another fork, but that is a nasty enemy set. 3 blue bird knights in a row of lava pits. Inspiring Eunos to go a different and less insane direction. At least for a little bit.
Oh no! They all jumped in the lava, but one had a parting blow for him. There he goes. A little more conservative this time, and he's through. I don't know how many lives he has left. Is this his last one?
I think he has another one, but I'm not sure. And Digshake is coming up on Thunderbird himself. This could be a very close race that comes down to who picks the right path here. Thunderbird, on average, takes only 8 hits with Attack 8. Depending on how powerful Attack 8 was randomized this seed, it could vary. But he should go down pretty fast.
Yeah. Interestingly, Thunderbird's health is never randomized. Because he's already got max health.
Eunos found a little bit of a loop. Those rooms where you just keep going right and end up to the left to where you started.
Yeah, that's
you
always...
might not find them in real life, but you find them here.
Hey, you can go right long enough and you'll end up where you started. Might need to take multiple modes of transportation, but you'll get there. But it doesn't happen within one room like it does here. Unless you live
I
on
always
them.
kind of laugh, because a lot of people who play this game, I hear talk about mapping out GP, and I just want to know how. Like, how do you draw a map of this place?
I don't know. You must have to
Is
use...
it like, do you have like a 3D map where when things overlap and loop in weird ways, and probably like lots of flow charts and arrows.
Yeah, yeah. I was just thinking you could use like letters to connect things or something. Like you use for staircases in Zelda 1 level 9 mapping.
It looks like right now they're both on the same path, and Eunos is ahead of Digshake. So that's pretty good news for Eunos, no matter what happens to be here. Because if this is the way, he'll reach Darklink first, and if it's not, then they're both going to go through the same stuff.
On the other hand,
Eunos choosing to thunder a Bird Knight and go back for the magic refill. Definitely a bit of a safety strat, but a pretty prudent one in his current situation. And you might observe, even with attack 6, he one-shot that Orange Bird Knight. Orange Bird Knights were an unused enemy in the code in the original game. They're fully functional and very similar in behavior to the Blue Bird Knights, except they have no health. So any hit will kill them, even at attack 1.
The suspense right here for when they find Dark Link is very real. I don't know if the people who haven't watched this randomizer before can really appreciate it, but you just never know when he's gonna pop up. But the more rooms that you go through, the better the odds of seeing him sooner, obviously.
All you know is that you will have to be traveling right when you bump into him.
Right.
But that doesn't really narrow things all that much.
No. You're gonna be traveling right most of the time in Great Palace.
And Dark Link is an incredibly easy boss, unlike everything else in this game, so as soon as you find him, unless you're at a pixel of health or something, you're pretty convinced the game's over.
Maybe Digshake should put an option in the randomizer to give Dark Link the FDS version's Dark Link AI.
That would be really cool. I wouldn't even know how to fight him.
I would not either.
I'd also like to point out that Eunos has had fantastic luck with red jars. All the red jars in GP are a 50-50 at being either a red jar itself or a red Bird Knight. One of these is helpful to find. The other of these tends to lead to Ganon's laughter.
On the other hand, those red jars aren't refilling that health bar. And there's
But they are letting him use a lot more fairy spells, so that is letting him go pretty far, and he still has a life left. Though I have a feeling that if this does not lead to Dark Link, if it leads to a dead end or something, we're gonna see an up A. This has been an overwhelmingly long path. And there was an elevator right after Thunderbird that neither of them took. That could easily be like just a 2-room path to Dark Link. And that would be a beautiful troll.
Yeah, you should look it up, Paratrooper.
Eunos making excellent use of the fire spell. The reflect half of it blocked the shots coming to him from that rope, and the fireballs let him kill the rope.
That is a good combination in Great Palace, that's for sure. What? I'm really surprised he's taking this route, but I guess it's getting him through. Oh goodness, that made me nervous.
The Orange Bird Knights are overwhelmingly aggressive. He might just not have felt he could safely get in there without losing that last pixel of health he has.
Yeah. Even being very cautious with the Mew, so...
He's actually pretty close to some kind of a level. So if that's a life level, that could really be a big difference maker.
True.
Very rarely do you level in GP.
It's not gonna
That's
be a life.
incredible.
It's not gonna be a life level though. He's at 657, so it's probably a magic level.
That whole path just dead-ended. That was like a quarter of GP. That was a linear path after Thunderbird, leading to absolutely nothing.
But Digshake is right behind him, so Eunos didn't really lose anything there.
Yeah, Eunos doesn't know it, but he has to feel very... In hindsight, he'll have to feel very happy that they both just played the meta and kept going right instead of checking out those elevators early on. Because it's likely now that one of those elevators is a relatively short path to Darklink, and this could have been a very quick GP. Worth noting, we still haven't even encountered the other two drops, which have a pretty high chance of coming into play.
Yep. I wouldn't be surprised if they go up and take a left and find the drop to the left here.
I wouldn't be surprised if both elevators led to different drops. One of them leads to the rest to GP, and the other is just a one-room drop to Darklink. That seems to be a common geography. Yeah, Digshake paused a little bit when he encountered that dead end, perhaps in disbelief that he seriously went through all of that for nothing. Personally, I think he should blame the guy who programmed this randomizer.
Yep. You gotta place the blame squarely on him.
If anyone's curious, I've been trying to load Digshake's stream in VLC the entire time, and it's still not loaded. I think it's a safe bet it's not going to. That really has nothing to do with what these two are doing. I just thought it was funny.
You missed a lot of Doom Fighters, Fork. If you want to watch Bufflex shooting some dudes, you've got a lot of content to go back and watch. If you choose.
I have a friend who was really interested in that Doom randomizer. I'd have to find out how it works. Because I missed the rando in this marathon as well.
I think it randomly generates maps, mostly.
We see Eunos has taken a drop.
They are
his
doing.
stream is not. Is his stream moving for you?
No, it's frozen. I don't know. It did that before.
So I guess
Oh, shoot.
Eunos has dropped into the Ice Palace because he's frozen right now.
Wait, what happened? Oh. Why did this... Oh. Oh, I see what happened. Okay. Alright. Never mind. I can fix this. I was working on something, and I should have done it differently. I learned a lesson. Yeah, I can try doing something here, but... Let's see.
It looks like we have some strange elevator connections in this area after Thunderbird. Though I believe that Digshake has found a path that no one else has found. Well, that Eunos hadn't tried up until we lost his stream.
You could be... You could try a different server. Let me see here. Should have just finished, Eunos, if you didn't. Digshake is finishing.
Digshake has found Dark Link.
Well, that's really
if
unfortunate.
Eunos has chosen not to finish, that's going to be unfortunate, because Eunos was right there.
Oh. I changed some other things. Well. Yeah, that is lame. Eunos was ahead. I just noticed that the text is wrong at the bottom.
So yeah, I don't know what the two of them are going to work out vis-a-vis SRL. That was effectively a race win for Eunos. The stream issues and however he reacted to them aren't really his fault.
What happened?
Eunos was ahead of you by about a minute, and his stream crashed, and I think he stopped playing as soon as it happened. But he was like 2 rooms from Darklink.
Oh.
And on the guaranteed path, it was... He could have taken the drop, but, you know, he wouldn't. We're still trying to figure out exactly what happened.
That's too bad. That's really too bad.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this server business in general, just because it seems kind of unreliable, and I mean, I don't know if we're doing something wrong, or maybe this method of restreaming could be improved some other way, but in general I feel more confident just restreaming Twitch streams, even if there's more delay and there's not this special thing going on where people have to watch the restream to see what's actually happening. But
But yeah, congrats on a great race, Digshake. That was one heck of a seed.
It sounds like it was a good race, at least. I mean, I had a lot of fun with that
Oh,
one.
For the first half of the race, you two made identical decisions. It was incredible to watch the two of you just dive into Palace 6. Eunos entered it at 1-1-1. You were at like 2-1-2 or something.
I was curious what people were going to do when they came across that. I remember thinking as I was going through that if I walked out of there without beating Barba, that I was probably going to be behind. So I was really glad that I managed to pull that off.
Yeah, you were definitely right in your analysis that would have been pretty behind. You were actually ahead largely because you cleared it faster, though riskier because the boots were the item and Eunos found it.
I was wondering if the boots were going to come back and bite me on that one. That's really interesting, actually.
Yeah, where you started to kind of pull ahead was in the East Continent. Eunos ended up up-Aing and dealing with Palace 5 while after taking some bad caves, in the East. Whereas you found the right path and got to Palaces 3 and 4. So you knew where all the palaces were much earlier than he did and were kind of in that go mode. Though you two entered GP very close to the same time. He was a little ahead because he had less walking back. His last palace was 4.
Yeah.
Your levels were way better, but it just didn't end up being a case where it mattered.
Well, the levels being better, I don't know. I mean, did he find that same massive dead end that I did? Because I was, I was a little salty about that.
You both went nearly identical paths. Right up until you hit the dead end, you two were room for room, the same choice every time. After that, you guys kind of wandered around trying to figure out what next slightly differently, but it wasn't a huge difference.
I need to go back and rewatch this one. It sounds like it was really good.
It was fantastic.
Good race.
Yeah, it was a fantastic race. It was one of those races where both racers are making all the same decisions, so it was largely coming down to execution.
Well, I actually think Eunos is better at a lot of the combat stuff than I am, so that's usually a bad thing for me.
Well, he was about 1 minute ahead of you, so I guess that's the difference, right?
Yeah. Oh man, great seed though. That was a lot of fun. Couldn't have planned it better. Hopefully Eunos will come in here and have a little chat with us.
But yeah, as both a racer and the creator of the Zelda 2 Randomizer, how do you just feel in general about what this got to show the broader randomizer community about Zelda 2?
Man, I mean, it hit most of it. Actually, it was a pretty. I don't want to scare off any people watching this because Zelda 2 has a reputation as a hard game, but in general, this was actually not a super difficult seed. We got the glove really early, we got the master key really early. So the one thing that maybe it didn't show off was just how nasty things can get sometimes.
GP was sure to chime in and provide a little reminder for you guys at that dead end.
Dead end was, that was pretty rough. I also don't recommend going into 6 first unless you are pretty confident in your skills. When I saw Palace 1 sitting right there with the magic key, I was like, oh man, kind of wish I would have done that first. But
yeah, I totally made that observation about how generous the seed. Coper was kind of thinking about how it was you guys' crazy skill that made 6 first even possible, and I was like, they didn't really have to do 6 first. Nothing they got from 6 was relevant to what else they could do, other than, they got a gym.
Yeah, we didn't have to do 6 first at all. It's just when you have the glove and you come across the palace, this is probably the same way. You just want to go in and clear it while you're there.
Yeah, for all you knew it was 3, I'm sure when you discovered it wasn't, that was a bit of a sad moment.
Yeah, I could have stopped and turned around, but I mean,
mean, yeah, now you're already a couple rooms in, you've confirmed it's 6, and you're like, well, if I've gone this far, right?
Yeah, you don't want to waste the time to come back later, for sure.
Just one more thing I wanted to ask you about tactically. This was a difference between you two. When you found the fire spell, Eunos right away took a little bit of an extra time to confirm that it was paired with Reflect, whereas you did not appear to do that. What was your thinking on that?
I mean, I knew it was Reflect. I walked outside of town and casted it in an encounter, and I saw that nothing really happened. So, you know, in that case, it's generally going to be Reflect.
Oh, I must have just missed that, because the whole time, you know, I saw Eunos. He did this thing where he blocked the axe from the blue Dyra after, you know, exhausting the other options, you know, jumping, seeing it didn't kill anything, he's still not a fairy, etc.
Yeah,
Like,
mine
okay,
was.
Eunos knows he has Reflect now. His first 3 spells are go mode. It looked to me, I guess I was just mistaken, that you were just going onward.
Yeah, mine was more of a process of elimination. I knew it was Reflect because I used fire to kill Karok in Palace 4, so I definitely was aware. Waiting on that ever elusive thunder spell paired with fire. I haven't seen that one yet.
That would be really remarkable, because I'm trying to imagine the circumstances where the fireballs still do anything after thunder hits everything on the screen.
Yeah, it'd be pretty. Well, I mean, fire lasts for the entire encounter, so thunder's just what's currently on the screen at the time, so you could still torch some stuff.
The more notable story might be at like Magic 6 or 7 when you have like a 10 cost thunder.
Yeah. Yeah, if it's cheap. I mean, that's always the thing with fire, is that it's relatively cheap, especially compared to some of the later spells, so you can get cheap thunder out of the deal. That's always a good thing.
And I guess to answer the most important question you probably had, Eunos had Wizrobe beams and you had bubbles.
Yeah, we actually played around with that a little bit beforehand. That's a relatively new feature, actually, but one that seems to be pretty well received, so I'm happy with it. And we got lots of other great stuff planned, actually. You know, the overworlds have come a long way, and I've got a lot of other ideas to make them even better, and start to see some shuffling around of other enemies and bosses and such, so other stuff. Hopefully soon.
So yeah, and it looks like we have Eunos here as well. Congrats on putting up a great race.
Thanks.
So why don't you tell us, what were your thoughts about this seed?
Oh, I feel like it's be a pretty fast seed early because it picked up, well, we get Fairy right away. It was castable at level 1. Then I got Thunder and the Glove. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. And then the boots in Palace 6, man.
Magic Key in Palace 1, it was throwing stuff at us left and
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, it was nice.
So what were
Yeah.
the big decision you both made, as it turned out, diving into Palace 6 early? In your case, at 1-1-1. What was going through your head when you did that?
Well, I didn't know if it was 3 or 6, but 6 isn't very dangerous. It's not like it's 5. I mean, I could fight Borg all day.
The only thing that concerns me about 6 is there's a lot of key doors in there, and even though Fairy was castable, you can only get through
Yeah.
a jar drop, so.
Yeah. Well, you know, in the original game, the only keys in 6 are the ones that come off Revenak, right? And Barba. And one of the Revenak keys is a bonus key, but it's in this one, since they're P bags that are shuffled with keys. They're like when you fall into those one rooms that have a small bridge in the center. those tend to have keys too. So yeah, it was a kind of a gamble. It's like, especially since needed Fairy to get in and then needed Fairy to get over that pit in the next room. It's like, okay, well, good
Yeah.
luck.
And if you wanted to beat it, you had to jump over the pit without jump.
Oh yeah, I stubbed my toe, man. I probably made it by 1 pixel.
I blew it the first time, and actually it looped you back around. So I took a second shot at it and got it. Easy jump though, especially if you haven't played a lot of Zelda 2 before.
No, it's not, and the changing tiles like make it even harder. It's easier for me to make a jump when I can actually, when there isn't a false brick there, you know. I can make 4-tile jumps all day when it's actually a hole, but when it's a bunch of bricks, it doesn't look the same.
Yeah.
How'd you like? Did you get all the way to the end of that appendix in P7?
Yeah, I sure did.
Yeah, how about that?
I made it the whole way down. I was like, man, this is gonna be so epic when I make it to Dark Link with a bar of health left and no lives, and then it's a dead end. I'm just like,
At some point during the trip, did it occur to you that this could be a troll dead end?
kind of did. I was waiting for a branch actually. Like I was waiting for an elevator or something, so that when I game over, I'd have to go all the way back and take the other path. Is what I was really waiting for.
Yeah, it was so deep. There was no way I was turning around. I had a life left, but I was hanging on to every little bit of health I could on the second last life. There's no way
I had no lives, and
yeah.
I think I was legit down to my last bar when I hit the dead end. I was struggling. Although that GP was really easy actually. Like if you didn't have to worry about taking the right branches.
Right. Oh, jeez.
Strategically, though, it was kind of funny because the two of you made nearly identical decisions throughout the run. There was a little divergence when you went to P5 and Digshake hung on the east, but otherwise, you guys played the seed pretty heads up. The biggest difference really was the leveling. You were at a much lower level going into GP, Eunos. Were you a little concerned having weak attack, not a ton of magic, and you didn't have shield or life?
657's not low. Me. I didn't have shield life, which was something I did take extra spells looking for something. Whether it was one of like shield life or jump, just so I can refill magic and use, you know, fairy and thunder and jump as my like survival methods. I just needed something out of there. You know?
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, no, I wasn't concerned. I thought it'd be fun as hell because we got a long Grand Palace and I gotta do it with 3 lives and no life spell. It was great.
The life levels were actually pretty decent.
Yeah, they weren't bad. Like, I took a bunch of hits in that very first room, you know, the curtains room that was just full of like, just garbage, just so full of garbage. And I took so many hits and I left there with only 2 bars missing. So, yeah, it was great. So yeah, I ended up exploring the Eon drop. It looped, only 2 rooms left.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So if you dropped in the Eon drop, it was just, you walked right 2 rooms and you're back at the Eon drop.
Interesting. Yeah. So really, you got funneled to Dark Link pretty quickly once you took the right elevator after T-Bird. You're basically...
Yeah. Well, yeah, there were only... I couldn't think of any other choices that there were, because did you...
The first elevator looped you back to the ferry
Right.
room, and then the second one is the right way to go.
Yeah, I don't think there were any other branches after T-Bird.
Oh, well, no, you're right. That's it. So with 2 choices, and we both picked the wrong one.
That's what everybody should look forward to. Is when the Combat Gauntlet update comes out. I'm assuming that's still a thing.
Yeah, it's still a thing.
Yeah, man. It'll be like that. It'll be just like straight 100-something rooms of butt clenching.
Something like that, yeah.
It'll be the side-scrolling roguelike. Everything's a roguelike.
Yeah.
Right on.
race, man. I can't wait to go back and watch the VOD of that one.
It was really good. It was the case where like Digshake placed the 6th gem first, but Eunos made it into Great Palace first. Like it was that close.
Yeah, that was a pretty fantastic race. I'm just about out of things to ask. I guess I have one more little thing I can give Digshake a little hard time. What were your architects thinking with that bridge to Maze Island?
Yeah. Yeah, when the bridge spawns on the river, then you get a really long bridge. I think it's an architectural achievement to make a bridge that large.
Yeah, and totally ornamental, really.
Yeah, it doesn't serve a whole lot of purpose. I mean, there's water under there, right? Like, let's not be fooled. It is definitely covering up a whole bunch of water. So.
Yeah, often I find if you want to build a bridge next to the mouth of a river, you just kind of build it long ways across the whole river until you eventually hit land.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Eunos, when you walked right there to the end, how much of that was seeing if there was anything there, and how much of it was just how long is this bridge?
Oh, it was to show it off.
Okay.
It was just to make sure everybody, because I knew it was going to happen as soon as I saw it. I'm like, this thing is going to go all the way to the end, and we've got to see this. Absolutely.
I poke fun at it, but it really is pretty incredible, the dynamic drawing of these over.
Yeah, I want
And
people to see as much as
occasional warts like that aside, they do look a lot like they were designed, even though they clearly procedurally generated.
I thought this map was really good, actually. I thought the maps, especially since the most recent update, I feel like have been quite maybe a little bit more complex than they used to be. So
I instantly, as soon as I exited the North Palace, I was like, oh, nice, because we had that bridge going across the water and then the path like intersecting the bridge in the middle. I was like, oh, nice.
yeah,
Looking
yeah. Welcome to Z2 Random. Here we go.
Alright, I think maybe time to move on to Zelda 1.
Yeah,
sure.
and I'm gonna be
Thanks
in
for-
that race, so I have to set up for it. Thanks again a whole lot, Digshake and Eunos, for being here. If you have any quick last things to add, have at it, but I'm gonna sign out and get ready. So, good race, guys.
Good luck.
Thanks a lot for joining me. Good having you.
For a commentary.
Yeah. If either of you wants to stick around, I think Darkwing is joining me, but you're free to do so.
I have not had dinner yet, so I need to go
It's up to
do
you.
that. But I will be watching the race. I'm looking forward to it. So cool. Have a good race. See you guys next time.
See you later, Digshake. Alright, I am just getting Darkwing with me here. Hello.
Hello. Did you hear yourself there?
No.
Okay, good.
We're all good as far as that goes. And
Yeah, that's the easy part. Now
Yep.
what?
now I need to finish setting up here. So, if you would like to introduce yourself and talk a little, you're certainly
Okay.
free to do so.
Okay, I am the only person right now that is better than Jay Coper in the LOZ community of choosing NCAA tournament brackets.
Until tomorrow night, I guess,
Well, I'm rooting for Gonzaga for a specific reason.
huh?
Because yeah, that's if Gonzaga wins, then which I expect they will, since I didn't choose them to win, then I will have won the bracket. If somehow North Carolina wins, which they won't, since didn't choose them to win. Wait, the logic doesn't quite fit. But anyway, what else do you want me to talk about? Is there anything else to talk about? I don't know what else to talk about.
You could introduce yourself.